in my adult years, Edmonton Menorah Academy is one, and the Edmonton Kollel is another. But then, as I started thinking back to when I was young, the old Beth Israel Synagogue, my grandfather's bakery, Furman's Tasty Bread, Teddy's Lunch, actually, Marcus Furs was important, the old Talmud Torah, and in Jasper Place, my mom's cousin had a store, but I can't quite remember the name of it. But that store was also really important to me. Now I know that some of these places are not traditionally what you would call, Jewish community places, but they were an integral part of the Jewish community. Menorah Academy started around 30 years ago. It was the brainchild of the Germasian brothers who wanted to make a strong Jewish community in Edmonton, and they asked me to be a founding partner in Menorah Academy. At the time, I was on the board of the Talmud Torah, and it was just a crazy time. Like when it started, first we were going to have a shared arrangement with Westminster Junior High, and that fell through. And at the time, the Woodward's food floor in the mall had closed, and we didn't know where the school was going to be. And it opened, first of all, in the convention center of the Fantasyland Hotel, where the rooms were classrooms and the kitchen was used for lunch. It was just a nuts time. And Nader Germasian asked me to help him interview staff for teachers, and Sylvia Benjamin and I and Nader formed the core, the nucleus of the school, and we got it up and running. It was amazing, and then we moved it into the food floor at Woodward's, the Woodward's end of the food floor. And it was completely open concept. We had classrooms that were divided by business dividers, those really tacky orange things. Yeah. And Eddie had a little teeny tiny kitchen to work out of to feed everybody. And it was just a really pioneering time. I had pulled Carla and Mitchell from Talmud Torah and put them in there. Shannon started in kindergarten at Menorah and went all the way through. And our kids thrived in this environment, and it really jump-started our religious journey. Yeah, it was an amazing thing. When we moved into the school, we didn't move into the school location for, it was at least a year. I remember Sylvia in the Woodward's food floor, she had a platform. So she was like sitting on a platform looking out at all the kids, and the parents, we wanted to see what was going on. So we brought coaches. we found coaches, and we made a library. We said we were making a library with coaches, but really it was for all the parents who were out shopping to come and sit down and watch what was going on in the school. It was such an interesting time. We were already on our way because prior to opening the school, they had opened the Kollel. So the Kollel was open. So Nathan Elliott is 27, say 20. It must be like 28, 29 years ago that all of this happened. So the Kollel came first, actually, before the school. And prior to the Kollel coming, they brought in a lot of speakers. And we had a weekend where we went to a Shabbaton in Jasper. And that really inspired a lot of families. And so once once there was more than just Howie and I and the rabbis keeping kosher and Shabbos, um, it really, was kind of like a snowball because other people were, and we could invite people over and teach them and inspire them, and so that really helped. Well, we got married there. It was my shul when I was young. Um, just it was my shul growing up, and I remember going. My dad used to take me every Saturday for services, um, and and I don't know. I mean, I can still smell the old Beth Israel, like in the little chapel. I used to love going into the little chapel in the basement, and I don't know. It was just the shul. It was the shul that we went to. I never actually went to high holiday services in my life until I was in high school, because my mother was Shomer Shabbos and we didn't drive on holidays at all. And and my job was to sit and read the Machzor at home. So I don't have very many memories of that. I remember Purim a lot of I remember a few Purims where the adult population did Purim spiels in the basement. Um, I remember when I was at Isaiah Stav repainted the basement, and everybody was appalled because he had done a creative paint job with mauve and yellow, and I loved it. but but the rest of the people, the board especially, didn't really appreciate it. Um, what else do I remember? Yeah, I remember the rabbi's office way at the top of the stairs, sitting in there waiting for them to come and get me so that I could walk down the aisle to marry my husband. Um, and that's about it. Just remember the Saturday services going as a child. I'm still I'm still linked in my heart and my brain to the Beth Israel, now that it's moved to the West End. And now that Howie's president, it's hard not to be linked. And Menorah, I'm very sad that it's closing, and I'm not looking forward to the end of this year. I mean, the cemetery is another place, it's becoming more and more a home now to me. All of my family is there, from my grandparents on. Um, it's in the cemetery. And I think this, Revan Dolgoy, Alav Shalom, he once sat me down and we did a tour of the cemetery. So he showed me where the original, um, like funders of the community, where their graves were. He told me stories about all different kinds of things there. It was very interesting. Like I said earlier, you may not think of these places as Jewish community places, but Zal's Butcher Shop, I, I remember Zal's, I remember Silverman's Butcher Shop very well. It's so amazing to me that so many years later, now we don't have a butcher shop. Now we have a bakery, but we had Bonton. We don't have an whatever, a vodka kashrut. That's probably a big reason why. So I remember the bakery because, again, we had this route on Saturdays. We'd go for shul, and then we would go to get gas at the bakery, and then we would go for lunch at Teddy's, and then we would go to visit my Uncle Alan and my Auntie Eva at the fur store. And when it was next to the King Eddie, the storage was also there. So while my dad was, talking to my uncle and aunt, I would just cuddle up inside the furs that were hanging on the racks. So I remember that very well.